Back to the office, an order straight from the governor. State workers are headed back, but does Central Ohio have the office space? Plus a $400 million renovation at Nationwide Arena.
25 years has gone by, and like a house, you have to renovate.
Experts say it'll cost Columbus to compete, but who's going to pay? And transforming empty buildings into much-needed housing. It's all coming up this week in Boomtown. Thanks so much for joining us. And as we know, Central Ohio is booming. We all see it, and we certainly can feel it. Whether it's traffic, new homes, crowded schools, leaders in this region will have to figure out how to embrace 1 million more people in the coming decades. So here's what we uncovered this week in Boomtown. Well, huge news for thousands of state workers this week. It is time to return to the office and say goodbye to work from home. This week, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine issued a return to office executive order, and it comes 5 years after the state shut down and sent everyone home because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this could be a big boom for downtown businesses, bringing back a much welcome buzz to the heart of the capital city. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Boomtown. I'm Angela Ann. Now, we talked to the governor this week to find out what prompted this executive order. Here's 10 TV's Tara Jabor with what he said.
Governor Mike DeWine says that now is the time for state employees to go back to the office. Now, he says a lot of employees are already back in the office, but he did say that this will be a big change for some. In a new executive order, Governor Mike DeWine wants all employees in state agencies, board and commissions under his authority back in the office.
It's time to do that. We're seeing it happen in private enterprise. It needs to happen in the state government as well. You know, many of our workers are already back, but this would make sure that everybody is back.
The governor says he made the decision because he thinks it's time to bring back in-person work, and he values the dynamics of people working together in person. What we see at the workplace many times is the interaction between different workers. And when each one of them is remote, you just don't have that interaction. You don't have them solving problems. You don't have them playing off against each other and talking and kind of rolling up their sleeves and getting the job done. In this executive order, there are exceptions. If the office space was sold or new office space would have to be bought, then employees won't go back. The order also says if it's deemed appropriate to exempt certain people and it's approved by the Department of Administrative Services, then it's okay.
Will this be a big change for some employees? How do you think they'll feel?
Yeah, for some people this will be a change. This will be kind of a back to normal. I would just look at this as kind of a reset back to where we always used to be in the past.
The return to office order will officially go into effect on March 17th. Reporting from the State House, Tara Jabor, 10 TV News.
Tara, thank you so much. Well, as workers return to downtown, they'll soon see plans rolling out for Columbus's new pedestrian and bike pathway. This is called the Capitol Line Project, and it covers 2 miles of city. So let's show you. It extends through the Gay Street District, over the bridge on Broad Street, then to the Peninsula, then over to the Rich Street Bridge and back. Construction is set to begin later this year, but 10 TV's Kristen McFarland spoke with people who say they just can't wait.
As the city of Columbus expands, so does the opportunity for innovative construction. The community is hopeful this new pathway will help elevate Columbus even more.
It's just dangerous to bike around town. How things are currently set up.
Yesenia Alvarez Padilla has lived downtown for years and relied heavily on biking for transportation.
I know what it feels like to bike around and feel like, is somebody going to run into me? I'm excited to hear about the new bike pathway because it gives folks, especially people who are central here, to bike around town safely, bring kids and everything.
The 2-mile pathway aimed at connecting the downtown streets to some of the city's most vibrant attractions will extend through Gay Street District. It won't be built all at once, rather over several years, and it's made possible through public and private partnerships with the city.
Having the open walkways is like a great way to continue building on, I think, what our city is trying to do, which is come together.
With more growth coming to Columbus, the pathway may serve as an incentive for those interested in visiting the city.
So that would be great to rent a bike and be able to train on my layover right in the city. I look for cities where there's bike-friendly areas to go riding and not be worried about getting hit by cars, and then nice scenery too.
Construction on the project is set to begin this year, with City Council meeting this week to further those plans. Reporting from downtown Columbus, Krista McFarland, 10 TV News.
Well, let's talk about Nationwide Arena. It is the home of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Columbus Fury, and countless shows, concerts, and events. Well, this week in Boomtown, we are learning how this 685,000 square foot venue could see a massive transformation. And the group that manages Nationwide Arena says rough estimates right now cost somewhere around $400 million. So here's an exclusive look at what's on the table. Things at Nationwide Arena are about to go boom.
2-ish years ago, we started talking about and looking at our capital plan and said, you know, somewhere between year 25 and 30 is going to be a window where we need to reinvest and do a major renovation.
That window is now, and the fix is far beyond curb appeal. We're talking retractable seats to open up floor space, a new scoreboard, faster concessions to get butts back into seats quicker, and a massive digital signage upgrade arena-wide.
And that amount is around $400 million. Could be a little more, could be a little less.
Dave Rettelberger and Mike Gatto are part of the Nationwide Arena team spearheading its future. Who's going to pay for that?
Well, it's a combination of the city, the county, the state, and also the private sector.
Taxpayers? At some point?
Well, taxpayers is a piece of it.
Without the arena, we wouldn't be right here today.
Former Columbus Mayor Michael Coleman
2, 3
was president of City Council when Nationwide Arena came to life in May of 1998.
It was a barren wasteland of nothingness. In fact, right here, at this very spot, was a prison. 25 years has gone by, and like a house, you have to renovate, you have to bring it back, and if you don't, it's going to fall in disarray.
Which is why these upgrades are more than just talk.
That we'd like to do is potentially turn this into so we could open it up and it could be a bar where you could see in the bowl. For the hockey games or sporting events.
These guys know time is of the essence, and the competition, they say, is getting tighter in the arena space, given other cities in the same boat already taking away bids.
Phoenix was just coming off a $250 million renovation. Phoenix got that Final Four because it was a new building.
Do you think it'll be a tough ask to get that $400 million?
I don't think it's going to be easy. But I think the arena, as I said before, there wouldn't be an arena district without Nationwide Arena.
It is money past leaders say is worth every penny to bring bigger and better opportunities to Columbus.
I'd love for me, this is Mike Coleman talking only, I'd love to have an NBA team in our city.
Wouldn't that be neat? But all that said, Nationwide Arena has a huge lineup of events, including the NCAA Women's Final Four in 2027. So a lot to look forward to here. But the next step now is to finish the vision study, shop it around, and see who might come to the table with that funding. One source could be the state. Governor Mike DeWine's proposed budget calls for doubling the state's gaming tax. That could help pay for major upgrades to sports stadiums around the Buckeye State.
I believe that our professional sports in Ohio are very valuable to us. I think it's part of our quality of life. But this gives us an opportunity not to have to take general fund dollars away from education or something else, and to be able to actually fund these in the future.
So here's what that gaming tax hike could look like. It would double from 20 to 40% and generate anywhere from $130 to $180 million. Governor DeWine is putting a lot on the line on sports gambling. And that's good news for people who want to renovate Nationwide Arena.
Fingers crossed. We've been working on it a long while.
Ken Paul is the executive director for Franklin County's Convention Facilities Authority. He says the estimated $400 million needed to upgrade Nationwide Arena is long overdue. After all, the building turns 25 years old this year.
We're at a time and place where I think our residents, fans who attend shows, events in other communities understand that while we've got a great place to catch a game or watch a show, there are things that they experience in other venues that they might like here.
And with other Ohio cities like Cleveland and Cincinnati looking to upgrade or build new sports stadiums, Paul says paying for what needs to be done at Nationwide Arena is a public-private partnership.
Do you feel like we're racing against the clock, so to speak, to get these renovations done? Because we're seeing these huge tours come and go, and some of them are passing us by. Taylor Swift and now Beyonce just announced it. Everyone's like, is she coming here? And the answer is no. So are we,
It's a really it's a really good question. I don't want to manufacture a crisis. There is not a crisis, but the clock is ticking and there is a need to reinvest in the arena to remain competitive.
Not just competitive, but to also keep the fans coming back. In Columbus, Angela Ann, 10 TV News. And tonight, we learned Nationwide Arena is already in the first phase of improvements, budgeted for $60 million. Nationwide also received $2 million already from the state, and this vision study for the second phase will cost much more. As we said, nearly $400 million, and that should be completed by the end of this month. Well, we have some positive news this week in Boomtown for affordable housing in Central Ohio. The Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority, or CMHA, they approved $120 million this week. Now, this will help build multiple housing projects all across the region, as you can see, including buying Demers townhomes in Grove City and the vacant land nearby to build about 104 new units. Another $12 million will fund upgrades to an apartment complex in Canal Winchester, and $10 million will build a new housing development in Reynoldsburg. All of this is critical because according to the GAP report, the Columbus area is short more than 50,000 affordable housing units. In Lancaster, that is another part of Central Ohio that really needs more housing. And right now, there's a project underway in Fairfield County to turn this century-old building into apartments. As 10 TV's Colin Dorsey shows us, this latest project has a lot of people talking.
Years ago, this was a shoe factory, but soon it's going to be 60 apartments and commercial space to help address the need for housing right here in Lancaster.
Yeah, we're the only bike shop here right now.
Bikes and all of their parts fill the bike shop of Lancaster. And through the front window, Doug Durant has kept an eye on the old empty building. So how long has that been empty?
That has been empty probably 15, 20 years maybe.
Broken windows and faded flyers, signs of a building once long forgotten. But the winds of change are now blowing in the right direction. The project announced last year by a Columbus-based developer is gaining momentum. New places to live and new places to do business.
It's a big undertaking.
Stephanie Bosco is Lancaster's economic development director. She says the price tag to redo the old building is about $20 million. But grants and other programs locally and from the state are helping cover that cost.
You know, these are being built as luxury apartments. Can the average person in Lancaster afford to live there?
You know, I haven't seen exactly how much they're going to cost, but they're going to fit into our community. They're not going to be necessarily out of the budget for everybody.
The 2020 census put Lancaster's household income at about $55,000. The widely accepted 30% rule says you shouldn't spend more than 30% on housing, meaning a Lancaster household should stick to rents below $1,400.
And, you know, the other thing that people have talked about is where are people going to park?
There is a parking lot next door. They've actually taken out some unnecessary building area. So there will be dedicated parking for the tenants.
For Durant, new people right across the street will hopefully be good for business.
We got a lot of locally owned businesses, myself included, so more clientele would be greatly appreciated.
This project still has a ways to go. It's not set to be finished until the spring of next year. In Lancaster, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
Colin, thank you so much. And as we move into a new month here, we know these stories of growth really matter to you and to us. So be sure to watch our 10 TV Plus original Welcome to Boomtown. You'll see how we are working to seek solutions for everyone in Central Ohio. I'm Angela Ann, and thanks again for watching This Week in Boomtown.